Well, this is always a treat. We've got All-Star Weekend. Our next guest was a 12-time All-Star. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer. And Soul Power, the Amazon documentary on the ABA, it started streaming yesterday, and he was prominently featured. We welcome back to Sactown Sports, Rick Barry. How are you today, Rick?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is doing well, and I hope everybody who has somebody special in their life has a wonderful Valentine's Day tomorrow.
That's wonderful. Hey, I have to ask you about something that seemed a little unusual last night. Watching the documentary, and I'd love to know how pleased you were with it. But Rick, I believe you were doing interviews from 1967, whatever it was, from your hospital bed. Was that after you had your knee surgery?
I have no idea. That's a long
Okay.
time ago. I don't even think I can remember that far back. Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have. I don't know that I had obviously enough operations that you like to try to forget those and put those
Of
in the
course.
past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the documentary, they did a nice job with the documentary. It's nice that they're getting some recognition finally. The only one it took a long time to get this kind of a documentary done, and same thing. It's taken over 50 years for the
Yeah.
Warriors for us to get our team to
Yeah.
get something done, and we finally have one of those coming out here relatively soon as well. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing that one because I haven't seen it yet.
Do we know where that's going to be, or is that still being
No,
worked
I have
out?
no idea.
Okay.
I
All right.
know,
Yeah.
I know it was, I think it's all done. It was supposedly sent to some film festival or whatever. But the only thing that makes me feel good about it is the gentleman who was involved with the Goliath, the Wilt Chamberlain documentary I got to see last year in San Francisco when the All-Star game was there, and he was brought in to do some editing and do some stuff with the documentary for the Warriors. And he came up to me, introduced himself, and said, "Rick, I think you're going to really like it. I was really pleased. They did a really nice job." So I'm hoping that it gives my teammates the recognition they deserve because they never got the recognition they deserve. The biggest upset in the history of major
Hmm.
sports, and I defy anybody in the four major sports to show me anything happen in the finals as dramatic as what we did. And it took 50 years to get somebody to do something and give recognition to the team, not to me. I got MVP, and people made a big deal about it, but it was the team because you don't win with only one person in team sports, especially in basketball. And so I'm really hoping that it gives just due
Hmm.
to my teammates. I'm just sad that so many of them aren't even with us
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Rick, as you mentioned the ABA, and if some of our listeners out there maybe aren't as familiar, what are some of the most important things about the ABA that fans should know if they're maybe thinking about checking out the documentary?
Uh, well, that it was. It never got the recognition. I don't know why it doesn't seem them lined up here properly. All right, there we go. This is a little better, I guess. It's really weird. My mind. Okay. It's that it never was given the credit that it deserved. I remember being on with Marv Albert, the famous broadcaster who had a show in New York and was with the Knicks for years and years and did TV work. And I got into a big thing about him. I said, okay, so you're going to sit there as a broadcaster and tell me that the league doesn't have really good players and good teams. I said, you're a broadcaster. I said, I played in both leagues. I said, You're crazy." And then I think the proof of the pudding is I think the first All Star game after the merger, there were like 11 or something players on the All Star team that were ABA guys.
Right.
So we didn't have as many really outstanding teams. We didn't have really a lot of great big guys, because you had Chamberlain and Russell and Thurman and Bellamy and guys like that in the NBA. And the ABA really didn't have the big guys until guys like Artis came along. So, but otherwise, we had a lot of great players. I mean, a lot of great players.
Hmm. Rick, I know one of the things you said last night during the interview that they showed last night for me, it's streaming now, of course. You said in some ways the ABA was wonderful, in some ways it was terrible. And I know for
Oh,
you, there you said, there was a lot that you went through. You were hurt. You got sent to Washington where you didn't want to be. You also had some real highs winning the championship with the Oaks. Are you at peace with your turbulent times you had in the ABA?
oh yeah. I don't live in the past.
Hmm.
When something happens, it's over with. Why would you waste any emotion and any tears or whatever like that? If something's sad, cry and get over it, move on. It's over.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You can't change it. And I feel sadly for a lot of people when things happen in their lives that are very sad and disturbing, and you lose loved ones. why would you want to be remorseful to the point that you ruin your own life and the lives of all the people around you? Move on,
Hmm.
cry, get over it. Yeah, there's stuff there that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was so bush league. Some of the things that happened, it was crazy. But I'm just delighted that I had an opportunity to be a part of professional basketball and an important part of what happened with the ABA. I was the first named player
Yeah.
to go over and kind of open up the door, and that changed everything in the NBA. All these guys making the crazy money they made back then. I mean, I was Kurt Flood before Kurt Flood,
Yep.
challenging the reserve clause. It changed everything for the NBA players. And then Spencer, with the early entry stuff, that was another thing. But the biggest thing was changing the salary, getting that reserve clause out of it, because otherwise it was a contract that once you signed it, basically they own you for your life. Because I don't know if people understand the reserve clause. Once I signed that first contract, the next year, if I didn't come to an agreement with the Warriors, I was obligated to play the next year at 90% of my salary.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
and it just kind of kept going on like
Yeah.
that. So it really wasn't a great contract to sign. So it definitely changed everything. Now, I didn't do it for that reason. Okay. I actually did it because I was one of the rare players, and not many players have actually made first team All Pro as a rookie. And not only did I make first team All Pro as a rookie, I wound up leading the league in scoring the next year, MVP of the All Star game, came within two pick and roll plays with Nate Thurmond and myself against Will Chamberlain, the Sixers, to possibly winning the NBA championship. And I didn't have a lot of fun. I
Hmm.
did it because I had a chance to go and possibly play for my former college coach, who at the time also that was then my father-in-law. I did it to enjoy basketball again, to have more fun. I mean, it wasn't about the money,
Hmm.
really wasn't.
The great Rick Barry with us, Drive Guy, Sactown Sports.
Yeah, Rick, I know you've mentioned before that you could play in today's game and all the different advancements that players have now. I have I guess a thought. Why do you think there is such a fascination with comparing eras, specifically in basketball, right? Like, I don't even know if this happens as much in the NFL. Yeah, they compare Brady and Montana, but not the same way where it's, no, our group of athletes now are better than they used to be. You don't really get that in any other sport other than basketball. And I'm just curious if you have any idea why people love to do that so much.
I don't really understand why they want to do that. But basketball, because a lot of it's individualism. I mean, as a player, you have so many things you could do individually, athletically. Um, Everybody's improved in that regard. I mean, football players the same way. It's helped all the sports, but for some reason, basketball, because I think of just there's only five guys on the court at any one time. They're doing all these amazing athletic things that I think really draw people's attention. The way they can dunk the ball and all the crazy things they can do. But that doesn't mean that you're really a great player. You can't, because you're a great jumper and you dunk the ball doesn't mean you're a great player. And but it has more of an impact in basketball because one player in basketball can have a dramatic impact on a team's success. I'll get into this expression they always say that defense wins championships. I don't believe that's really so much true in basketball. It's more true, I think, in football. You have to have good defense. You got to be a good defensive team to win the championship, but defense doesn't win the championship. It's your offense. But in football, the defense can also create points, interceptions, run backs, block things. So the defense can have much more of an impact on a team's success. Just look at the last Super Bowl. I mean, with the defense that was played. So the defense is not going to have the kind of impact that you can have in football, but you still have to be a good offensive team to win. I think in basketball, in the history of the league, I think there's only two teams that have ever won a championship that weren't in the top 10 in defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So and for individuals, I tell you, I tell people, you know what they did for me in my career? Nothing. We had zero. They did nothing. You showed up at training camp and you had to be in shape, ready to go to 2-a-day workouts and do things. Not one thing. We didn't even have anybody until I was in the NBA before our championship season when Bud Presley came over and show us some things defensively. But we finally started to do a little bit of stretching and stuff. Somebody from Stanford, one of the people that came over, we did no stretching. We did no lifting. We did nothing. And so when people say to me, Rick, you guys would have a hard time playing today. unbelievable. I would be so much better. I mean, you heard it before. I said it: faster, stronger, quicker, jump higher, more endurance. It'd be crazy how much better I would be today. Because look at the sophistication. Now, you used to go and lift, right? Okay, now here's the deal. What sport are you playing? What position are you playing in that sport, whether it's football, whatever, or in swimming? Well, what kind of swimmer are you? Are you a sprint swimmer or a long distance? You train specifically, have certain lifting, and you do all things depending upon the sport you're playing and what that sport requires from you from a physical standpoint. That's how sophisticated it's gotten.
Rick, the great Rick Barry with us? I think Larry Brown talked about this, and you were a bigger star, so maybe you didn't have to, but did you ever have to tape your own ankles?
Well, when I coached in the minor leagues, I had to tape my teams. You want to talk about some stories? I wrote a book about when I coached in the minor leagues. Oh my God, the things that I went through. I look back and say, what the hell was I thinking and doing? No, I never did have to. Fortunately, we had a trainer, and I didn't have to tape my own ankles. So no, I didn't have to go through that. But I did have to carry my own bags. We did have to wash our uniforms in the shower after games and hope they dried out for the game the next night. There's a lot of things we had to do that people can't even believe. When I do appearances and I give an entertaining talk, I tell them, okay, I'm going to just show you people the difference between when I played and when these guys played. And the people are laughing, doing stuff. I say, I'm not telling you this, folks, to be funny. I'm not making any of this up. It's unbelievable the difference, the way athletes are treated today and the facilities that they have, the way they travel, charter jets, charter food, all the other stuff. You know, we get to bed 2:00 in the morning and have to get up at 5:30, 6:00 in the hotel to sometimes have our own rental cars that we drove ourselves to get to the airport in time to catch the first early flight commercially to get to the next city to be able to play a game that night. Like I said, you get to the hotel, you turn on the heat and you try to hang your uniform up, hope that your uniform would dry out for the game that night.
Wow.
Rick, there's this annual conversation that happens about the All-Star game. Obviously, it's this weekend.
Well, let me stop you. Let me stop you there. Can we please? I tried to do this decades ago. They should have done this
okay.
It's not a game. Okay, they should have stopped calling it the All-Star game. They should have just said the All-Star exhibition, because that's what it became. It became an exhibition. All these records and people are freaking meaningless. Our games were serious games. These were knocked down, drag out. Everybody was doing their best to try to win. When we played, it was a super competitive basketball game. And then somewhere along the line, that all changed. Now, I give credit to the NBA for trying to come up with different things to try to get these guys to get serious. And every time I would go over these last decades of games, weekends, is that I was hoping the game gets close with 4 minutes or so to go, and then maybe the guys' pride will get in there, they'll get serious and actually play some serious basketball. Now, on the other hand, you do some amazing things that you see, the plays that they make, the crazy stuff that they do. So if you want to just go to be entertained and not take it real seriously, it could be great. I'm praying and I'm hoping that all of the foreign players get together and say, guys, let's go out there and kick those guys' asses. Yeah. And if they come out and play serious basketball to try to dominate the American teams, that could turn it into something interesting. Now we'll see what the American guys are made of if they're getting challenged by the other guys and don't want to get embarrassed. I'm hoping that's what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the only way we are going to see anything competitive. So there might be a little bit of hope there, Rick. Do you have any hope left for the slam dunk competition at this point?
Yeah, just how much can you do in the slam dunk thing? I mean, they had to go and get somebody never even played in the NBA to be able to come out there and excite the people. The little guy that did it,
McClung, yeah,
McClung, yeah, and he was exciting as hell, no question. And they've had some really cool things, but how much more creative and how many other different things can you do with the slam dunk? I mean, it used to be, if a guy got what was it? It was. Who was the one with the Knicks that played, the little small guy? He tried about 15 times on one dunk. It was like absurd.
Nate Robinson.
Nate Robinson.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Are you going to be freaking kidding me? So, yeah, and I still to this day will go down saying one of the greatest dunks of all time, back in the days when you didn't get 9,000 chances to do it, was Spud Webb.
Yes.
Because, and with no practice any one time, to throw a ball from half court at his size, high enough in the air, to land perfectly near the basket, to bounce up high enough that he can go and then time his jump to be able to get there and dunk two hands over his head. I was doing the broadcast of that, and I was one of the judges. That, to me, was still one of the single greatest accomplishments
Mm-hmm.
because there were so many elements involved that had to be just absolutely perfect. And then the other one I remember, and of course, Michael Jordan and Dominique, that was kind of fun, the stuff that they were doing. But the other one that I think they really missed the boat on, there should have been a tie. Should have been a tie
Yep.
when when they had what's his name from Orlando, and they had
Rick, that was
from
that was 10 years ago today. It was Zach Levine and Aaron Gordon.
Zach Levine,
Yeah.
and Zach. That was they put on a great show. That was really cool. Going over the the mascots, Puff the Magic Dragon and stuff that he did with the way he did that, and then Levine. It should have been a tie.
Yep. Every dunk was a 50. They didn't score it that
It
way.
was unbelievable.
Really,
It was really, really special. But there have been so many others that have just been, so whatever.
Yeah.
But the only true competition in that is the 3-point shootout.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did like the one when they had the females, Steph Curry going. They should do more of that, because that's one thing where physicality or being a male or a female has no bearing on it. I mean, if you can shoot the hell out of the basketball, you can compete. And I think that's the only one, because the other one for the skills competition was crazy. So it all came down to the last shot that you wind up taking at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the 3-point shootout, I've always enjoyed that tremendously. And that's what I like most about the weekend was the 3-point shootout.
Yeah, the great Rick Barry with us, and of course the 3-point shot came from the ABA, and the slam dunk contest originated as well.
Exactly,
yeah.
And that's why the ABA documentary is kind of cool, telling the story of what happened. And
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of fun, but there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in the arena. I tell you what, I played one game. It was in Dallas. I think it was the Dallas Chaparrals was the team. We played a game. There were more people on the benches and on the scorer's table than there were in the stands.
Wow.
I still remember. I said, "Oh my God!" You don't think it took a lot of personal pride to want to go out and play your hardest? I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, we had more people sometimes at practice. It was, it's crazy stuff. I remember one of the All-Star games. The owner of one of the teams and the coach got into a freaking fight. And I remember the coach ripped the sleeve off the suit of the owner. I'm going, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?"
I wanted to ask you, Rick, you played with and against, of course, the all-time greats, Kareem, Wilt, Nate Thurman, on and on. What do you think of Wemby? I know the game has changed and the role of the big man has changed, but you were one of the first people that said Yao Ming was going to be a big star here in the United States. What do you make of Wemby? Does he remind you of anything, or is he just a completely different?
No, he's an anomaly.
Yeah.
The guys that do things differently. Charles Barkley was an anomaly playing power forward at his size. Steph Curry is an anomaly. Magic Johnson at his size for point guard. And Wemby falls into the case of anomaly. A guy that plays like he's, like a small forward. He's playing at 7'90".
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Now, the thing we have to stop doing, you're talking about back to your comparing thing, please stop comparing different decades because of all the stuff that's available to the current players. Stop it. Take the decade, take people, and stop the GOAT thing, which is the dumbest thing in the world for any team sport to have. There is no such thing as a GOAT. It has to be by position. In baseball, you don't compare Willie Mays to Sandy Koufax. That's an insanity from the days gone by. And you don't compare today's pitchers to the pitchers of the past. I mean, I know Goose Scotches is a good friend of mine. Hey, Goose Scotches as a guy from when you come in and you had the relievers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now they got what? The setup guy, the mid reliever, the closer, the other. I mean, Goose told me one time he pitched like 8 innings coming in from the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a different world. There are different things required, and you have to go by position. I mean, you don't compare and everybody say, "Oh, Michael to LeBron or Michael to Bird or Bird to Magic." No, they don't play the same positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rick, well, the theme of, I guess, the All-Star break and basketball right now, the NBA, it's all about tanking, Rick, and fixing tanking. Do you have any thoughts on how they can fix tanking? Can they fix tanking? Is the whole thing overblown? Where are you at with it?
What do we talk tanking as far as standings and draft?
Yeah, like losing games on purpose.
The Jazz just got fined.
I don't know how. I don't know how you can do that, because there's no way. If an owner came to me, the coach came to me, said, "Look, we don't want to win this game." I just said, "Why? What the hell? Why are we here?" I said, "There's no way you're going to tell me that I'm not going to try to win when I play a game."
Right.
I mean, I can't even buy that. I've never had that happen. I never had anybody say that to me in my entire career. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, a lot of the stuff makes no sense. I mean, load management. My wife and I were just talking earlier about it. I hated it when we were blowing somebody. I wanted to play. I'm a
Yeah.
professional basketball player.
Yeah.
I want to play.
Yep.
You know, I understand they're trying to protect them and not get them beat up and all, but anything can kind of happen. But hey, go play. Why would I not want to play? I mean, I've got a guarantee now. You got a guaranteed contract. If I happen to get hurt, God forbid, you know, something, you're still going to get paid. But how do you ever walk out on the court and not play your hardest and want to win? I can't understand that.
Yeah.
And then what they're doing, the other thing that makes me mad, and I thought they were trying to agree to it, this load management stuff and whatever. There is no way, because of the unbalanced schedule, that they should ever allow a player from one conference playing a game in the other conference where they only go there one time a year to ever allow him to have load management. If he's not injured, he has to play. That's not fair to the fans.
Yeah. Rick Barry, by the way, in 1967, as I'm sure Rick knows, played 40.7 minutes per game. In 71-72 with the Nets, he played 45.2 minutes per game.
Man.
That's why I try to tell people. I said, I played a lot of minutes, and I was happy. I wanted to play. I mean, and now, you know, most players like Steffi, they play 36 minutes. I always joke. I said, well, if they're playing 36 minutes, it's a 48-minute game. Maybe they should only get 3/4 of their salary.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Rick, a variation of a question that I'm sure you get all the time. We have a young player here in Sacramento. He was undrafted. He's his name is Dylan Cardwell. He played at Alabama, and he's proving he's an NBA player. He rebounds well. He defends. He's not a good free throw shooter, Rick. So I know you get asked this all the time. A guy like that, do you think someone like that should be open to maybe trying?
Hey, well, there you go. There you go. See, I'm glad you brought this up because I'm going to my grave. Every interview I do, I'm coming up with this.
Yeah.
I am waiting to see when an owner, general manager, or coach is going to have enough guts. There's another term I would use, but I'll keep it clean, to demand, not ask, demand that a player learn to shoot underhanded free throws. Think about this. A basketball player is an employee of a basketball team. He's being paid multi-millions of dollars. In fact, the lowest paid guy is making more than twice as much money as I made in my best year, and he doesn't even play. And he's going to tell them that, no, I'm not going to change my free throw technique, or I'm not going to do something to help make my team and me better. How does he have the right to do that? If you're an employee, if your boss came to you and you're working for a TV station, he said, hey, so by the way, you need to do this and do that. Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, you're not going to have a job. Yeah. I mean, in the real world, that's unrealistic. That the employee is telling his boss that, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. Well, wait a second. You're a basketball player. Your free throws suck. This is proven to be scientifically, the best way to shoot a free throw. You're going to learn how to do that. Why in the world is somebody not demanding that of these players? How can they be allowed to decide whether they want to or not? That's insane.
Are you available? If we can.
Hell yes, but they're going to pay me.
Of course, of course.
There is no doubt in my mind if that young man was serious about wanting to become a better free throw shooter and really put the time and the effort into doing it, that I can make him a better free throw shooter. I've worked only with two people. I've worked with one guy many, many decades ago who played, I won't mention his name and stuff. I had him shooting over 80%, and he went back to his team and he never had the guts to try it.
Wow.
Okay. And then I took a kid in college last year and I helped his, I mean, he was awful, but he picked it up pretty quickly. He's a little stiff still, but you're not going to get it right away. My teammate, George Johnson, who was terrible free throw shooter, got up to 80% at one time.
That.
I mean, if you were to take Shaq and have Shaq at an 80% free throw shooter, Shaq would have won more championships. He would have been the go-to guy. At the end of the game, it's over. You throw it into the post. If you foul him, he's going to make his free throws. I mean, so he becomes a liability when he can't do that, as well so many other players. And so I just don't understand why they wouldn't do it. It's, again, scientifically proven to be the most efficient way to shoot. And nobody's got guts enough to tell the player that you have to do this. I just don't. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Hey, Rick, man, before we let you go, I got an opportunity to see you last year at All-Star Game at the celebrity pickleball competition. How's your pickleball game,
been
baby?
there. It's the worst rule in the world. I would have helped won that thing. I mean, they had a stupid rule they put in pickleball. Not that I'm so competitive, okay? They put a stupid rule in that isn't a part of pickleball that if you get hit with the ball, you lose 2 points. Okay, and Hansbrough hits 2 balls that I can't get out of the way of that would have been out balls. It's bad enough that I'm losing a point on those, but I wind up losing 2 points in the match and lost a close match. I would have won.
That's terrible.
So anyway, that's I got a question for you guys. What the hell is going on with the Sacramento Kings basketball team? Holy crap!
Well, before we answer that, Rick, I did have something to tell you. We got this text from the 530. They say, I have never had the chance to call in with Mr. Berry on the line. Wanted to thank him for taking some time to teach me how to shoot at one of his camps 40-ish years ago. Played through junior college and was a 90% free throw shooter since 8th grade.
There you go, buddy. There you go. Nice. Good for you. Hey, who cares what you look like, okay?
Yep.
I didn't want to do it. I said, Dad, I can't do this. I'm going to, a girl shoot that way. And I remember the words like they came out of his mouth, and I heard them from him yesterday. Son, they can't make fun of you if you're making them.
Mm-hmm.
True. The best one, though, my son Canyon, youngest, who played in the 3x3 Olympics and all, should have been in the NBA. That's a whole other story. Anyway, so he said, I said, so what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you with the free throws? And he said, oh yeah, one place we played, I missed a free throw, and the student section started yelling out, "You're adopted! You're adopted!"
Oh, the great Rick Berry. Rick, we appreciate your time so much. You're great on Soul Power. Can't wait for the Warrior documentary. We would love to talk to you again sometime soon when you have time. Enjoy All-Star Weekend, sir.
All right. God bless you and your listeners. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
One and only. We'll come back with